Hello friends, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it so much. I wanted to share with you today more of my findings about joy. The last time that we talked, I shared information about why I think adding joy into our daily lives is so important and how it can help at a time when our society really needs it. So hopefully that was meaningful to you. And if you didn't catch it, go back and take a look. But today I wanted to spend a bit of time on some of the reasons or mindsets that could be preventing you from experiencing joy. I hope that this is super helpful to you. And as we go through these mindsets, I would ask you to think about whether or not any of these apply to you. And as you think about that, start to think about if it's worth it to you, if these mindsets are true, if they are something that you want to continue or maybe make some changes, because I feel like the benefits of shifting some of these thoughts and beliefs could be really beneficial to you, not just in the ways of incorporating more joy, but just in general. So I'm excited to share this information with you. And I also want to share that I got a lot of information from Neil Samudra, who has an amazing thought process on joy. So as we go through these, make sure that you think about whether or not they apply to you, and again, if it's worth it. So the first one that I want to hit on is shame. And the author Brene Brown obviously talks a whole lot about shame, something worth diving into if you haven't already. I consider shame to be a pretty unproductive emotion, and again, a lot of studies have been done around shame that are really beneficial if you want to check into that. But in terms of how it could affect your ability to let in joy, there are things that perhaps you're saying to yourself or have in your subconscious mind that maybe you're not deserving of joy. Maybe the idea that how can I expect or have joy in my life when there are so many people that are suffering. So I would like to start by sharing with you, I believe, actually I know, I think I can say this as one of those I know things. I know you are deserving of joy. You are. You are because you are. You are a child of God. You were put on this earth with guided heart desires, and you are deserving of joy. No matter what's happened to you, no matter what you've done or not done, you are deserving of joy. I would ask you to imprint that on your brain, in your subconscious mind. Try it on. How does it feel? You are deserving of joy. It is so important for us to believe that. The other thing I would say about this thought process or mindset is you're not experiencing joy or anything else that's, positive is not going to help someone who is not joyful or someone who is struggling. You can help that person, and as a matter of fact, I think that helping people and being of service is a way to cultivate an immense amount of joy, but you're preventing yourself or feeling undeserving of joy and therefore not seeking it out and adding it to your life. That does not help the person who is suffering. So in order for you to live your best life that could include helping that person, your path to more joyful living is only going to support those efforts. I hope that makes sense, but I would leave you with, if you do have a bit of a shame mindset or feelings of undeservingness, that you check into that because you are deserving of joy. The next mindset is something that I think we can all relate to, and that is having too much noise, too much stuff going through our brains at any given time on any given day that prevent us from adding one more thing to our to-do list or even thinking about adding joy to our daily practice. So if you wake up and you have a million things to do, a gazillion people to help, and are running a mile a minute, it would be very, very difficult to add joy into your life. And so if that's how your mind is running, it will be hard to get in anything, including this idea of a daily joy practice. And similarly to what I offered in the last when we talked a bit about shame, when you think about how well you can do things, I believe strongly that the energy within our bodies is going to be more apt for amazing service if we are joyful. It's very difficult to do a great job and to give your all that you want to give if you're feeling low. If you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling like there's just too much, it's very difficult to do things in a way that's, high energy. And so adding joy could be a way to help with that. The other thing I would say is you, as a person with self-agency, have the ability to do things differently. I will repeat, you have the ability to do things differently. If your mindset is one filled with noise, I'm here to tell you it does not have to be that way. Give yourself permission, I give you permission too, to know that it can be different. It takes a little bit of soul searching to think about ways that it can be different, but I just want to share with you, if that is your experience and there's this, well, I can't do anything else, or if you have that story that is on repeat, that there's no way that I can do things differently, you are incorrect. That may be hard to hear, and if that upsets you, it's all the more reason for you to check in with it and just be honest with yourself about whether or not there are choices that can be made or things that can be done that can make things different. If there are, and you think it's worth it, I would ask you to investigate that a little bit. See what things you might be able to do to change that noise mindset. It could be as simple as waking up 10 minutes earlier and starting a very short, quick meditation practice just to calm yourself. It could also be something like every single day, I'm going to stop everything I'm doing and I'm going to dance for 5 minutes by myself. Sounds kooky, but I promise you, you will feel better if you do that. So to wrap that one up, it's a mindset of noise. And ultimately, what I want you to take away from that is that if that's your experience, there is another and a better way. So I hope that serves you. The next one I want to talk about is zoning out. And I know that I have been, this has been something that I've had to deal with myself before, because sometimes it may feel easier to just zone out, to avoid the bad things. And the product of zoning out is not only shutting down the bad things, but it's also shutting out the good things. So ask yourself whether or not this type of mindset, if it's something that you're experiencing, is worth it. Does this help your life, or do you find yourself in more of a state of kind of numb getting along? Even saying that makes me feel sad. It makes me feel like for those folks who are generally in a state of kind of zoning out and not really paying attention, that does not feel like a life well lived. It feels sad to me. So let's talk a little bit about, what this could look like. What could a zoning out mindset look like? And again, I will say this has been something that I have struggled with in the past and work every day to avoid. So it could be things like watching too much TV, scrolling way too much. Hello, I know that I've done that before. It could also take, a more serious shapes such as gambling, excessive drinking, excessive drug use, things that physically help us to, zone out. And let's talk about those that are a bit less serious first. And I want to share that always there is zero judgment here. I cannot live your life. I cannot understand your unique story. I'm here to offer tips of ways that I think can help you to live your best life. But in no way am I saying that I think you are a bad person if any of this applies to you. I just hope that you're able to look at your life in a way that helps you to decide how you want to live it to the fullest. So I'll start there. But if we look again at those things like, binging on a lot of TV or scrolling continuously or anything else that really distracts you from the present moment or living your life in a vibrant way, similar to what we said last time, you have a choice. Things can be different. They can. You have the agency. You are a strong person. You can make changes that will allow for a different mindset, one that is not one of zoning out. Turn off the TV. Tell yourself that you will not spend more than 30 minutes or an hour, whatever it is, watching. You can do it. Another good technique that I've actually employed before is delete the apps. Delete them. Oh. My camera just went off there for a second. But you can decide if it's forever or if it's for a short period of time, or you're going to go on a month hiatus. Delete the apps. Don't go on them. You can do it. It's possible. There were many years in your life where you had nothing to scroll. So remember that it's possible, and know that it is something that is, again, relatively straightforward to do. The other thing I would say is, to go back a little bit, when we avoid bad feelings, when we do things that prevent us or distract us from seeing things that are bad or good, we don't process the bad things. And that can lead to a lot of problems. If you've heard about things like, the negative emotions or traumas, they stay within our bodies. There's lots of science around this. And it is absolutely critical that we deal with these emotions. So the only thing that avoidance does is it prolongs our ability to deal with the emotions that we at some point will have to deal with. And we either have to deal with bits and pieces or a mountain of bad feelings at one time. So it's up to you, but sitting with things, thinking about them, dealing with them, processing them, absolutely critical for the proper functioning of your body and your physically vibrant life. So when we talk about this mindset in particular, it's one for me that I think is really important for us to look at and to think about changing and doing things differently. In terms of any kind of addiction, gambling, drugs, drinking, again, please seek professional help for those things. And my heart and soul is with you in those experiences, because I know I assume that feels like something that is very difficult to manage through. So definitely do please get professional help for that. All right, so the next mindset that could be preventing you from experiencing joy in your life is your beliefs. And I would even offer that could be misguided beliefs could be the title, because this one I think is really near and dear to my heart, because this is a lot of the work that I like to do with people is about looking at beliefs and deciding if they are ultimately true or not. So this is something that is huge for me. But things like, I can't do that. The beliefs that you hold about who you are as a person, with the idea that there is no ability to change it. So things like, I'm not a cook, I can't run, I'm not athletic, I can't be a writer, I'm not able to. So these are the things that we tell ourselves that may or may not, and I think that's where the glory is they may not be true. And I think a lot of us suffer from this. Maybe it's not a constant state of your mindset, but I think a lot of us hold these things, and it is easy to understand how this could prevent joy. So for me, running is a huge builder of joy. It's something that I do that I truly love. It's something that I know I will always find myself in a state of joy at a minimum after the fact. Most times during, sometimes it's a little bit, harder than other times, but I love it. I know that I'm going to come out of it. However far I go, however fast I go, I'm going to feel joyful. And for a lot of people, especially as we get older, we tell ourselves there's no way that I could run. And while it may not be easy to start, most of us have the ability to do some kind of running. Again, I'm not a doctor. I don't know your particular circumstances, but if you tell yourself that you can't run, then you can't tap into what I'm talking about and the joy that I'm able to bring into my life pretty regularly with running. Maybe running is something that you have no interest in, and that's fine too. This world is built on our own unique desires and the things that our heart is calling us to do. So perhaps running isn't one of those. But another thing is cooking. This is one that I also find a lot of joy in, that 5 years ago, if anybody would have asked that knows me well, or if I would have had to tell you, I would have said, I am not a cook. I'm the person that is asked to bring paper towels to different family events where we are eating food, but I am not being asked to provide food. But since COVID, I had to. And that I can't cook became I have to cook, and so therefore I did, and it turns out I'm not so bad. I can make a lot of things that a lot of people actually do enjoy. So that's my, pretty clear example of something that the person who I thought that I was, or how I would have described myself as someone who can't cook, I actually can. And with all of these statements, whether it is talking to your self-talk about what you can and can't do, or can and can't be, we really need to investigate those, because it cuts us off from opportunities that could develop into joy. And I think that you have to decide on all of these things if they are ultimately true. A really easy way to think about that is, can you prove in a court of law that any of these is true? Would your argument stand up in court? And I would offer that the likely answer to that with just about anything that you say is going to be no. You cannot prove it. So if that's the case, if it is a strong argument that you can disprove the things or the misguided beliefs that you hold about yourself, guess what? That means that you can change them. So I encourage you to spend some time there. If you have beliefs about yourself, especially in certain areas that you have heard or understand could cause a lot of joy in your life, make sure that you aren't holding yourself back by having these beliefs. All right? So, one other thing I would say about that is, think about a child, either one of your children or a child that you care for. Would you tell them that they can't do something? Would you label them as a kid who couldn't insert whatever? I'm pretty sure the answer to that one is no too. So don't talk to yourself like that. Don't prevent yourself from attempting some of these things and deciding for sure if you are or are not that kind of person. All right, so with that, we will move on to the next mindset mistake, I will call it. And there is a lot here that I hope, that I anticipate in later sessions on different topics. This one will come up a lot because it's something that I am really anxious to get information out to you guys, because I think that it's something that holds us back from living a vibrant life. And that is the idea of lack, the mindset of lack in areas within your life. This one is so big. And I wish that I understood a little more about how our brain works and why this is so easy to tap into for people. This is something that I experienced for a lot of my life. And that is the idea or the mindset that there will never be enough. There will never be enough money. There will never be enough time. I will never have, enough, or I will never be thin enough. I will never, be good enough. There's never, this idea that you can be enough or there will be enough is something that plagues us, I believe. And I think it has a lot of repercussions, namely fear. There's a lot of holding back because we are fearful. So for example, whether we hoard things or we don't allow ourselves to do certain things because there's not enough time, or there's not enough money. And so we build on that energetic feeling that there's never going to be enough, and it prevents us from sharing, from giving, from being generous, which is kind of a, universal cycle of giving and receiving. There are a lot of impacts to this kind of lack feeling, and it can really prevent us from feeling feelings of joy. So this is one that I would really ask you to look at, and similar to what I was saying earlier, I believe very strongly that there is always a solution. There is always a different way to move yourself out of this feeling of lack. I think it's one of the most important kind of messages within the Bible, that there is an abundance in this creation. And if you start to believe more in abundance rather than lack, I believe so strongly that you will start to see incredible changes. What if you changed your mind and decided, I have enough time? And that probably feels really sticky for some people and really frustrating, because how can I tell you that you have time? But what if you believed that you have the time to do the things that you need to do? Try that on for size tomorrow. If you have a problem or if you have trouble believing in this, tell yourself that you're going to have enough time for the things that you want to do. I think you will start to see that there are things that will come into your vision and vantage point that will show you that you do have time. And I don't mean to say this in a way that's like, you have time, you scrolled your phone for 30 minutes. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about your mindset shift into believing that there is enough time for you to do the things that you want to do. Similarly, there is enough money. That might be even harder of a stretch, but try it on. See how that feels. The most important thing is you start to move yourself from a mindset of lack and into a mindset of abundance. No physical changes, needed. It's just, how do you think? How does your mind start a story? Is it from a place of lack or is it from a place of abundance? I am super excited to hear about anything that comes of this exercise for you, because I think it will be big. All right, let's go to the next one as I get a drink of water. Comparison. What a time in our lives for comparison. I believe it was Theodore Roosevelt who said, comparison is the thief of joy. And this could not ring more true for certain times in my life. And I think that the reason I find that this time is one that this one can really pull this out in us is because what do we see every single day? We see the highlight reel of people's life. We see the beauty of everyone's experience and the things, the tidiness. And if I turn my camera here on my floor, which if I do that, I'll mess up the thing, but I have a whole floor full of paperwork that I am doing my best to file over time. And it's a wreck. And I can't even, my sweet dog, I say sweet dog, Annie, you know me. I will tell you the story about my dog. But she usually comes in here and lays on my floor. And I can't let her do that because they're just a ridiculous mess. So if you look at this office with envy, it's because I've got this nice little package of this clean office. To be clear, I love having clean and tidy spaces, which is why I'm trying to do my, filing work on the floor in such a mess. It's going to get worse before it gets better. So that is something that really brings me joy, and I do try very hard to pull things together in a neat and tidy way, but sometimes it doesn't always happen. But my point is to share with you that what you see and what we're inundated with is primarily things that are the best, the box of perfection, or the most perfect setting, or the most perfect experience. And for our human minds, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, we look at that and we see things, we feel things that maybe make us, whether it's shameful or feel inadequate or feel like we could never measure up to that, we could never have those things. It is such a terrible place to put yourself for a couple of reasons. Obviously, these things that we're talking about, shame, inadequacy, feeling like, that lack, like you could never have that, those are feelings that do not allow us to live a vibrant life. The first thing I would say is, as much as possible, let that go. If it is causing you negative feelings, spend some time. I'm never going to tell you not to process those negative emotions. Spend some time to understand why it is that you feel that way. What's at the root of the negative feeling? Let's just take, a very tidy office. I'm never going to have a tidy office. I have too much crap. I have too much stuff. I'm never going to get there. And it makes me feel bad. It makes me feel like I'm not able to, I'm not, insert whatever. I'm not good enough. I don't have the time to do this. I can't, I'll never. Spend some time there processing through that feeling. Cry about it if you want to. Yell about it if you want to. Get pissed off. Then come back and decide if it is something that you really want. Are there ways? Is it really true that you can't, that your office could never be clean? Can you prove it in a court of law? The answer is no. Go back and decide if it is possible, which it always is, what things can I do to get there? It's an amazing exercise to really get whatever you want in your life. And so as far as this mindset that prevents us from having joy of comparison, deal with those feelings, let that shit go if you can. If it's something that you really do want, you're comparing yourself and you really want it at the heart and soul of who you are, there is a way to get it. There is a solution. There is a way to find that or to do that where it is something that you can, enjoy and hopefully find joy in as well. But continually staying in that state of comparison is not healthy. It is not going to be somewhere that you can stay and feel good and vibrant and joyful about your life. So get rid of the comparison. It's a bunch of junk. And the other thing that I'll add here too is this world needs your experience as you desire it. That's what it needs. We would be so boring. We would have such boring lives if everyone lived exactly the same way. That would suck. That would be terrible. So when you're thinking with the comparison mindset, remember, you get to decide what you want to do, and that's what's going to be best for the whole wide world. And if comparison brings to light something that you really want, take that. Do something with it. Make it yours. But don't feel inadequate because of that. I hope that helps. My goodness. The last one that I'm going to talk about is fear. The fear mindset. I attribute this a lot to lack too, but fear, being in a state of anxiety, feeling anxious about the things around you, or having a really pessimistic mindset or a fearful mindset about what could happen, what might go wrong. Obviously, if that's where you are, joy is difficult to find. The recommendation that I would have for you is similar to the last, and that is process through those emotions. Decide if the stories that you're telling yourself that are making you anxious are in fact true, and if not, you can do something about them. From another recommendation perspective, if you are having debilitating anxiety, again, professional help is where you should look. And as I offer that in terms, with professional help, there are amazing resources that are, pretty affordable today online that you can connect to. Because I really don't want any of the things that I share with you to lessen the importance of debilitating situations that you're experiencing in your life. So do look for those that help when you need it. But in terms of the things that you can deal with on your own, just be thoughtful about the stories that you're telling yourself, what is actually true, and deciding what it is that you want. So I hope that these mindset reviews have been helpful to you. I hope that if you were able to find some of these mindsets relating to you, that you've got some tools to move through those and to get yourself into more of a mindset of anything is possible, that there is abundance within this world and it can be within my experience, that you can do amazing things, that you are capable, and that you have the ability to decide what it is that you want and go get that. You do. And you are exceptionally deserving. I know you are. There's no question in my mind. You are deserving of joy and all the good things that life has to offer. You're here. You're listening to something that I hope is helping you to grow. Just further evidence. All right. I hope that this serves you very well. I really, really appreciate you being here. Stay tuned. We'll talk a bit more about some things that you can do within your daily lives to actually practice joy as you've worked yourself into a better mindset to receive it. All right. Have a wonderful day. I love you. Love, Lisa Owen.